what's up. You definitely know the move. But for those who don't know the move, let me remind you, it's Tuesday. And what better way to start your week than the 2-2 podcast? Hey, listen, I'm so glad you could join me today. Today's episode is going to be amazing, awesome, and everything in between. And so I don't want you to miss a minute of it. Plus, today is the season 1 finale of the 2-2 podcast. But don't worry, we're not going away too long. We'll be back October 27th for season 2. You don't want to miss a minute of it. Bigger and better than ever. So with that being said, let's wrap this first season off right. You know what to do. Grab your friends, grab your family, grab your notebook, grab your co-workers, grab your haters. We're about to go to work. See you in a minute. Have you ever wanted to record a podcast but didn't know the way? Well, I've got good news. Let me tell you about something. It's called Anchor. And Anchor is the easiest way to record a podcast. Let me explain. It's absolutely free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So here's what I need you to do. Please download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. If you don't know, I love God, I love people, I love food, and I love sports. More specifically, college football. Love college football. So this season has been bittersweet. The bitter part because we don't get a chance to go to a game, but I understand. But we'll get back to that soon. So there's optimism with can there be optimism between sadness and bitter or being bummed out because of not being able to go to a game? Absolutely, because you're thinking of the bigger picture and going, hey, well, we'll be back. Prayerfully, we'll be back next year to go to a game. There's some big ones next year that I want to go to. Huge Buckeye fan, so I'm excited that they get the chance to play, and I pray that they get to play the whole entire season. But huge Buckeye fan. This is what all my family is about. They really don't watch anybody else. That's all they watch. I'm the one that's a little more adventurous. I watch everybody. And so one of the programs I've always been drawn towards, of course, outside of Buckeye football, I mean, this is kind of inherited, was Oregon around the Chip Kelly years. Those years where, the Chip Kelly, Mark Helfrich eras. And they had a mantra, and I don't know if they still have it or not. They had a mantra that they had around their football program, and you saw it in 3 letters under 3 letters within a badge. 3 letters within a badge, and those 3 letters were WTD. Now you're probably sitting here going, WTD. What WTF is WTD? Yes, I said WTF, but I didn't say the whole thing, so just leave me alone, y'all. What does WTD stand for? Well, simply 3 words. Win the day. Win the day. I want to ask a question that I want you to ask your group. The group that you're around, your circle of influence. Those of you that are sitting around with your friends listening to this show. If you do that, I do encourage you to listen to this show with your friends and your family, your co-workers, circle of influence, your church group. Please do that. Be sure to write notes and take down anything that really weighs upon your heart. But when we're talking about winning the day, well, how do you do it? How do you win the day? How do you make sure that you are reaching not only your weekly goals, not only your yearly goals, but your daily goals? Because you oftentimes can't reach your long-term goals without doing the short-term work. You got to do the little things. You got to chip away each and every day to make sure that you are doing the necessary and proper things in order to become great, do great, and have great. So again, I ask, what are you doing to win the day? Before we go any further, before we talk about anything else, there is a definition for winning the day. There is a definition for winning the day. And it's basically being victorious in in battle, sport, or argument. I couldn't believe there was a definition for win the day, but there is a definition for win the day. Winning the battle, being victorious in battle, sport, or conflict. We are faced with adversity. We are faced with battles each and every day of our life. We will be faced with adversity each and every day. We're faced with some perplexing situations. We're faced with some flabbergasting situations. We're faced with some things in our lives that make you go, why? And oftentimes, and I say this, and I'm going to tell you a quick little story about facing adversity and winning the day. There was a situation with my grandmother. Not with me personally. Like, this hadn't had anything to do with me. She was dealing with the situation, and she was super frustrated about the situation. And basically, I told her, because she was just like, I'm just going to do this. This is going to happen. 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 A, B, and C. And I told her that your response will dictate the outcome. How you respond to an adverse situation will dictate the outcome involved. How you respond will dictate what happens. So if you respond adversely, so if you get on the phone and you argue with people, you get on the phone and you scream and cuss and carry on and do so many other things, if you do that, the outcome's not going to be great. Now, granted, I had a situation yesterday where I had to let them know, like, listen, I have my own things to do and I want to get them finished. That doesn't mean to not be assertive. But that doesn't mean just all in all, just demean and degrade a person because of a situation. Sometimes within our frustration, our reaction can be adverse. Sometimes within our frustration, our emotions can be completely out of control. I've been in some crazy situations where my emotions have been completely out of control. I know for a fact, coming back to playing tennis, trying to get everything right, trying to get things right, you're trying to become the best player you can, because, tennis can be frustrating. You hit a bad shot, that could lose you the match. You're in practice and you hit one straight into the net. That's bad. You swing wrong. You hit it further than you need to. That's bad. It's just a lot that you have to deal with. But at the same time, how you respond dictates what happens. So how do you respond to hitting a bad shot? How do you respond to a situation that has happened? It is a big thing that I try to tell myself every day when something adverse happens. And so to continue the story with my grandmother, me telling her, listen, this is how you should respond. Respond positively, and positive things happen. So in hindsight, what happened was she responded the way I told her to respond, and something great happened. It was something that she thought she would have to pay, and she didn't. It's something that she thought that would have to be done that didn't get it was okay. I told her she was covered. It wasn't a problem. It's because she decided to make a decision before that made all the difference later on when the situation happened. This is how you win the day. You win the day with your response. Number one, your response dictates the outcome. You've heard me say this before on this show. And then what better way to talk about response than talk about what I always talk about, especially with the teams that I coach. Another story. My first year, and you've heard me tell this story before, my first year as a head basketball coach, these kids hadn't won a game. They hadn't won a game ever. So 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. So I don't think they had ever won a game at all. And I became their coach, and we started off the season 0-3. We had one game where we got beat really bad. That was the first game of the season. We didn't have as much time to prepare. They were still trying to work out the situation with the coach, with being a coach and whatnot. We had to deal with that. We also had to deal with just working on some different skills and different situations that they needed help with. That was 2. And 3, now it's a situation where we're 0-3. First game of the season, we get beat by about 25, 30 points. The next game of the season we play, we get beat by 1. Get beat by 1. The next game of the season, we were up in the game. We're up. Had a chance to win the game. The team that we played came back. We had a chance to win the game again. They came back, scored a bucket. Had a chance to tie the game. Missed the shot. They went down the floor, hit 2 free throws. That was the end of that game. And so I pulled my team to the side after the game was over, because I'm not the type of guy that yells at my kids. I'm not the type of guy that will yell at the kids in frustration. I won't. I'm stern, but not so stern that it breaks the will of a child or any of my athletes. Not in a way that causes them to want to quit. It motivates them. But I pulled them to the side and I told them, listen, we're in a place, one that you've been before. I've been in this place before myself as an athlete, as a basketball player. But now it's time to respond. And so when we get out of Christmas, when we come out of Christmas break, getting ready for the first game of the new year, second half of the season, our response is going to be different. We're going to respond different in practice. We're going to do everything we can in practice to be the best possible us we can be. This is what we're going to do. And so I told them about E plus R equals O. I heard about E plus R equals O years and years ago. There's a motivational speaker that talks about E plus R equals O. What is E plus R equals O? Event plus response equals the outcome. Event plus response equals the outcome. In life, you're going to have events. You're going to have situations that are going to be, they're just going to be terrible. You're going to have some situations that are going to be great. You're going to have some events that are going to be amazing. There are going to be some events that are going to be scary. Boy, how about 2020? I mean, it's been something else. And how we respond in 2020 will dictate, how we respond in this fourth quarter will dictate a lot of things. But E plus R equals O. And so I told my kids about this. An event has happened. Our event is we're 0-3. We're 0-3. How are you going to respond to being 0-3? We got a couple of choices. We got a couple of opportunities. We got a couple of situations now that we have to respond to. Here we go. We can either finish the season 0-10, or we could finish the season and win every game possible. Every game possible. So the second half of the season, they responded. They went 5-2 in the second half of the season. Two of those games we lost were to the two of the best teams in our league. We went from being last place in our league to being top, to having sole possession of third in our division and second in our division, third in the conference. Third in the league. Your response will dictate the outcome. That's the first thing I believe is a way that you should win the day. The second way I believe that you should win the day is create daily habits. So as we're talking about response, let's talk about routine. What is your daily routine? What is your routine that you are what are you consistent about? If you're a business owner, if you're a small business owner, if you're an online business owner, if you're a writer, if you're a producer, if you're a musician, if you are somebody, or if you're somebody that is a creative of any sort, or if you're an athlete, if you're a coach, what are you doing every day to not only build upon yourself, but build upon others? What are you doing? What is your routine? Are you doing what it takes to help others become great? Because it's within helping others that you help yourself. You know, it's within helping others that you win the day. What is your routine? What are you doing? I always ask myself each and every day, what am I going to do each and every day to build a routine, to build upon the success that I've built on each and every day? What am I going to do? And so my thing is, as a writer, as a person who podcasts, who records, as I'm always thinking about what's next. even in the middle of doing what's now. I'm always thinking about what's next. What's next? What am I doing next? And that's not like thinking months and months and months in advance. Sometimes I do that, but like I'm thinking about, okay, what's next? What can I do next? What can I accomplish next? Okay, I've gotten this part down. Let's accomplish the next thing. So oftentimes I break out my days into 4 quarters. 6-hour quarters. Of course, I'm not getting up. Well, of course, midnight to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 6, 6 to 12. Or, yeah. And so, what have I done between 12 a.m. and 6? Of course, at that time, I'm sleeping, so that's part of the routine, is making sure I get enough rest. Boom, 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 boom. Getting the rest. Okay, from 6 a.m. to 12, what am I doing? Making sure I'm writing, making connections, making sure I'm planning, and making sure I'm getting the necessary, making sure I'm eating, and eating properly to be exact. Making sure I'm doing those necessary things, okay? From 6 to 12. 12 to 6. What am I doing? Making sure I get a workout in. Making sure I'm writing. Making sure I am doing the necessary things that are part of my routine. Getting another workout in. Making sure I eat again. Making sure I get enough rest before I go on and do some other things. And then 6 to 12. So that's 6 p.m. to midnight. So we went from 6 a.m. to 12. We went from, we went from 12 a.m. to 6, 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., and 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. So 4 quarters. I always break my stuff down, my routine down in 4 quarters. And so I make sure that in between those 4 quarters, I'm doing something that will help build a foundation, or build upon a foundation, or build the house, or build upon what I want to do and what I want to be. Boom, boom, boom. Here it is. So what are you doing? I'm not telling everybody to do it, because sometimes breaking it down in quarters may be a bit easier, but there are some people that break it down based on hours. So what are you doing then, hour by hour? What am I doing hour by hour? So response or reaction. You win the day by routine. And you also win the day by positive connections. Who are you around every day? Who are you surrounded by every day that helps you become who you are? We're surrounded by people on both sides. People that encourage errors, rudeness, and stupidity. We're called to be around people that encourage excellence, respect, and success. We need both of them, but we need to be around people that encourage excellence, respect, and success more often. We a whole lot more, but we need both of them. We need that first group to show us how not to be. And we need the other group to show us that we can be great. Yep. We need both. You win the day with response, routine, and connection. Response, routine, and connection. Winning the day is about being victorious in battle, sport, or argument. It's being victorious in your response, being victorious in your routine, and being victorious and being around victorious people. You have to be willing. Here's another thing. Here's how you win. Here's another way that you win the day. You have to be willing to sacrifice. What does that mean? You win by response. You win by routine. You win by connection, but you win by sacrifice. What are you sacrificing? It's sacrifice without sacrifice. I was talking about this with on another podcast. By the way, please check out my friends La and Key on Popping After 30. They got a great show. I appreciate them for having me on. We were talking about submission. Me and another really, me and one of my big bros, Mr. Sylvester, and we were talking about that. And one of the things that I brought upon was the sacrifice without sacrifice. What I mean by sacrifice without sacrifice is you're going to sacrifice your pride. You're going to sacrifice your ego. You're going to sacrifice arrogance. You're going to sacrifice certain things in your life that are detrimental to being great. They're a detriment to being great. What are you sacrificing? So when you want to win the day, you're going to sacrifice some things. You're going to sacrifice going out. You're going to sacrifice. That doesn't mean, dude, don't go out. That doesn't mean, don't enjoy yourself. That doesn't mean that. That means sometimes you're just going to have to tell yourself no. Sometimes you're telling yourself no so you can save your money because you're trying to get something later. You're trying to get something that you've always wanted that'll be an addition and will be a benefit and an upgrade to whatever your endeavor is. So sacrifice. Sometimes you have to sacrifice doing that. Sometimes you have to sacrifice. You have to get out of your own way. Sometimes the roadblock between us and our goals and what we want to accomplish is not anybody else. It's us. It's me. I'm standing in my own way. Sometimes because we stand in our own way, we find ourselves in a situation where we often talk ourselves out of, or even, or better yet, we push ourselves out of, or push ourselves away from progress. Part of winning the day is sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice each and every day in order to be the best possible you? What are you willing to sacrifice today? And as we wrap this episode up, I want to encourage you to change your response. I want to encourage you to change your routine. Pray more. Eat better. Focus on your mental health. Focus on that part. And think about, don't get so caught up on the big thing. Get focused on that day. Get focused on one day at a time. Take it one day at a time. Find your routine, and as you build upon that routine, and as you work that routine, and allow for audibles every now and then you look up and you go, man, I've gotten far. Sometimes we don't find, because we're thinking of the long term, so often we often skip days. Because the long term, thinking about what you have to accomplish in the long term can be intimidating. So build upon that daily routine. Focus on the day itself. I'm telling you, man. And then You have to be willing to sacrifice. Sacrifice without sacrifice. Do not sacrifice your mental health. Don't sacrifice your sanity for anybody else, for anything else. Don't sacrifice your sanity. Keep your mind. My prayer is, Lord, keep my mind. It was so funny. I was in church this past Sunday, and they started singing, He kept my mind, He kept my mind. And my prayer all the time is, Lord, keep my mind in the midst of everything. Don't sacrifice your sanity. I promise you, we're going to get this together, man. We're going to do this thing. Let's win today. Let's win the day. Let's go get it, y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to follow me at AlexJ_live. That is AlexJ_live on Instagram. And also follow the show page on Instagram at 22_podcast. That is 22_podcast. We'll see you soon. Thanks for joining.